This photo of Ladj Ly holding his camera like a weapon is, I would say, the photo that defined the moment I decided to be an artist. Because I took it by accident. That day we were in Montfermeil, in Clichy-Montfermeil, in the neighborhood called Les Bosquets, which is one of the toughest neighborhoods outside Paris. And Ladj and me were close friends from that collective that we were part of called Kunsthalle, which means short film in slang. That was a collective that I was lucky enough to meet when I was young, and we were all the same age, and they were making films, I was making photos, and so we would gravitate and inspire each other. And until today, we stayed very close, and the collective still exists. But at the time, me and Ladj were closer. And so that day, I was just pasting, like I was doing my small photos, and on a building right behind him, if you look behind him on the photo, you would notice that the same image is being pasted over and over. And I remember someone say, hey, why don't you take us in photo? And Ladj said, oh yeah, take a photo of me. And I had that camera of the grandfather of my girlfriend, who was an old camera, you need to focus. And I was like, wait 1 second. And while I would adjust it, because I didn't really know how to take good photos with it, all the kids started running to try to be on the photo. And as they run in, I just grabbed that photo of Ladj holding his camera like a weapon, and I'm like, whoa. And Ladj's like, no, move out. I'm like, no, wait, I can't watch it because it's not digital at the time, but let's try to redo it. And they actually try to pose again, and if you look at the contact sheet, I could never reproduce that photo. So it kind of fell on me. So we shot a couple more photos that day and the next day with the whole crew. And in that neighborhood, we could do whatever we wanted. They let the whole neighborhood abandoned for 40 years. So it's almost like, we were left there for ourselves and could do anything we wanted. So it was our playground. So we thought, okay, why not paste it on the building? And the building were pretty big, and there was a ton of graffiti on it, and most of the windows were broken, and they would not repair anything over years. And so I found a way to print that image in strips through an architect plans machine. So just, strips that I had to unroll on the building with a ladder and with, a long pole to try to paste higher than the ladder would go. But because it would take me all night and we didn't want to get arrested, we asked all the kids from the neighborhood to come and hang down by the pasting so that the cops wouldn't stop us. And when the cops would come by, there'll be like 60, 70, 100 of us. They would be like, oh, it's not worth trying to stop whatever we were doing, which was pretty visual. But in that neighborhood, they were like, let it be, because they didn't want to create a riot in the middle of the night. So we pasted over a couple nights. And then whenever the project was finished, the mayor noticed it and sued me. And he, tried to get me through Ladj because he knew where Ladj was living, but he didn't have any information on myself. And that's why I always stayed with glasses and hat. I would always hide myself because what I was doing was illegal. And I was under my initial JR, so he couldn't just, find me, except they catch me. But they didn't. So at that time, I was afraid to pay for all the fine for the pasting on those buildings. And he had said it publicly that, I would have to pay and that he would clean it. And they never cleaned it because the people in the neighborhood, that was their exhibition. They were proud that those images were on their wall. But the thing is, 1 year later, something very sad happened, is that two kids that were playing football and something happened somewhere else in the neighborhood, but the cops were looking, and those kids thought that the cops were looking for them, so they started running. So the police started chasing them. Anyway, they passed in front of the big photo of Ladj. They hide in an electrical box there, and they died there. So the riots that happened in 2005 started right in front of that photo, and that was the largest riots we've known in France since the revolution. And then it had spread all over the different projects all over France. So suddenly that neighborhood becomes on lockdown, and the photos are still there on the wall, but they're decaying slowly. But suddenly they're on the background of the largest riots on television. You can see them on CNN, on all those channels. And I remember that's the moment where a big agency came to me and Ladj and said, hey, I could offer you a job. And we're like, oh, what is that? We want to publish some photos. And we're like, oh, you want the photos we pasted last year? And they say, no, we want you to take photos of the kids burning cars. And that didn't feel right to us because we knew that was just a small number of kids that were doing that at the time, and that didn't portray the neighborhood. So we refused, but also I think, and at least I speak for myself, that really what defined the moment where I decided to be an artist, because I would decide what I would photograph and how I would present it. Now the journey of that photo never stopped, because at that time I thought, wow, it took so much more, power with the riots, but then a couple of years later I could paste it in the front of the Tate Modern. And even the head of the Tate Modern refused the pasting because he thought this was a gun. And we asked him, please look again and give us your final answer. And he apologized. And then I pasted that on the outside of the Tate Modern. And then over the years, that photo kept being one of the key photos of my work. And Ladj, who's on the photo, kept on doing short films, documentaries. And only this year, 2019, he had made his first fiction about the condition of the kids in the suburbs and how it's about to explode again. And the movie was in Cannes. And for his first movie, he won the prize of the Prix du Jury, which is an amazing prize. So his career and that image is just taking another journey today.